Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to your January through June 2023 reading. Yay, we're here. Here we are. It's been a while since we have sat down and had a conversation, so I hope everybody's doing well. I know 2022 was a lot of things. It was very eccentric. It was very just ever since 2020, I kind of feel like this world has turned upside down. There's so many things that just don't add up anymore. We're going to put our selenite here. We're going to do things a little different this year. We're going to start with the Power of Surrender cards. Oh, it's kind of glary. I'm sorry, you're not able to see that, but Power of Surrender cards by Judith Orloff. I don't know why I was working with my lighting before I started this, and it's just some days it's just, it's Mercury retrograde and it's Mars retrograde, and like some days are just really weird. So that's what the lighting is doing to me today, is being a little bit weird. So and the funny thing is I haven't changed anything from yesterday. It's just decided to be different today. So maybe there are extra energies around me and things that are going on. But so we're going to start with the surrender card, see what it is that you guys are surrendering in 2023. Then we will go through each month and we'll get a theme. I have all of the major arcanas and the 4 aces in this deck. We'll get an overlying theme from January to June, and then we'll go back and clarify each of the themes. So, like the only word that I can truly use right now for everything is weird. Everything is just so weird. And so what I'm doing, you guys got 2. What I'm doing for myself is reminding myself a lot to come back to my own energy, come back to my own space. Even like, because like my partner and I, we work together as well as living together and loving together in life, right? So we're together quite a bit, and I don't want to rub off on him, and he I know that there are times that he doesn't want to rub off on me too. So I've just been remembering, there's so often that we can enmesh ourselves with other people. So really reminding myself to not get caught up in other people's emotions and not get caught up in what other people are doing. I know my shirt's really busy, but it's one of my favorites. It's got the sun and Saturn and the moon. It's pretty cool. So, okay, your surrender cards. And I don't know if you'll be able to see these in the lighting either. I wish you could, because they're really beautiful. But surrender to rest and sleep, to prevent burnout, slow down. Do you want me to read that again? To prevent burnout, slow down. Honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. So there's that. I'm sorry that it's kind of, wonder if while we're sitting here chatting, let me see if I can do something about this a little. Let's try. Still kind of doing it. It's a little better. It is what it is, you guys. That's how it is. So we're going to keep these out. Surrender to rest and sleep, and surrender to low self-esteem. You deserve success, love, and abundance. I'm going to read that one again. You deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. Oh, good. You can kind of see that card. It's a bright sunflower. Okay. And my allergies are sort of acting up too. So I apologize if I'm a little bit sniffly. I'm not sure if it's a cold or if it's allergies. We'll kind of see what's going on. All right. So You know, what's really funny is I find that it is easier for me to hold myself in high regards and not have such low self-esteem when I'm rested. So these two cards really come together. I was actually working on a dear friend's solar return earlier today. I'll be speaking with her later. But I was working on her solar return, and I've just recognized that for, and it's not the only Capricorn solar return that I've done. If you want to get yours done, I still have some available spots to do those this month. So, but what I've recognized is that all Capricorns are kind of being called to take a step back, to stop pushing so much, to stop like working. Oh my gosh, you guys work so much, and you're such hard workers, and you put your all into it. It's not just, you don't do half-assed work. Like, you just don't. So the world. Okay, nice. The world for January. February. Oh, the Ace of Wands. Love that one. March, we have the High Priestess. April, the Ace of Cups. May is the Magician. And June is the Death card. Nice. You know what's pretty interesting is from all the readings that I've done so far, like, everybody is really closing out cycles in pretty big ways in the beginning of this year. And if they're not closing out cycles, then they're having a little bit difficult time moving forward and getting things accomplished. It really looks like you guys are closing out some kind of cycle that's really helping you to push forward. Like, having the Ace of Wands in February after the World, that's huge, because you've like opened up space for new opportunities to come in. Intuitively, in March and April, intuitively, that it's time to pour back into you. I honestly think the entire year you need to be pouring back into yourself. But the reason why you're doing that is because you're ready to create things. Now, the Death card is where we find the evolution happening. So something in June, and it's funny because we often see evolution as just like, if you're evolved, then it's a positive thing, right? Like, if you're evolving, it's a positive thing. Well, it's not always going to look like that. Like, evolution sometimes can be really, really uncomfortable. Most of the time, it's really uncomfortable, the transitions and the moving forward and the shifting of energies. And we go through those changes every single day. So allowing ourselves to go through those changes without being hard on ourselves, that's going to be one of those things that, because you guys are like the hardest on yourselves, being ruled by Saturn. I mean, yes, Virgos, like, I'm a Virgo, right? You guys know that. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that. If you're brand new, hi, I'm a Virgo. But you know that Virgos are hard on themselves too, except Capricorns, like, all earth signs are very hard on themselves, but Capricorns are the hardest on themselves. So let's see, before we get started, just give me 1 second before we get started. Okay. The World in January. Closing out cycles. This feels like it was a pretty big one. This feels like something that you've been working towards for a while. That's the way that I want to say it. I don't actually think that it's work related, but I feel like you've been wanting to close this cycle out for a while. And a lot of it is just, what's funny? This feels like you're closing out the cycle of fighting with yourself. You're fighting, you're done fighting with trying to convince yourself of something else. Like, you're ready to flow with your soul's programming instead of the world's program. I don't even want to call it programming for the soul, because that's not the way that works. But you're ready to step into your soul's purpose. You're ready to really fully like embrace the power that you have. We have the 5 of Swords. We have the 9 of Wands, and we have the High Priestess. The 5 of Swords can often be us arguing with ourselves. This is like telling ourselves that we're not good enough. It's a lack mentality. It's not really feeling good about where we are and what we're doing. But the 9 of Wands and the High Priestess, that's where the surrender is coming from. So it's like you're no longer fighting, like you don't want to be in fight mode anymore. This person has been through it, right? And now we're done. This is the 9 of Wands is the surrender. And the High Priestess is your intuition. So I feel like you're done fighting with the world and you're ready to surrender to what it is your intuition wants you to do. And that feels like the ending of a cycle. And truly, when we get to that point in our lives, when we get to that and that kind of ending of a cycle, we do open up tons of energy. We open up a lot of space, ready to go in different directions, and things start to shift and change, which is exactly what's happening here. Pretty love that. Judgment on the 5 of Swords. Woo. Okay. So really the universe kind of putting its foot down. I love this deck with Judgment because there's that dropper coming straight from the sky. Like we get our energy from source, directly from source. And how do we get our energy directly from source? I'm going to skip over here for a second. We take the journey. We get our energy from source. We get all of everything we need from source energy. And that source energy is what connects all of us together, right? So as we are all individuals, we still have this common ground. We still have this common theme. I don't know why, but the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams and who is that? Annabelle, I forgot her last name. She's Italian, she's gorgeous. Anyways, one of my favorite, Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it, one of my favorite movies of all time because it really, it shows you the afterlife, right, of soulmates and, all of this and stuff like that. So the journey, getting back to the journey. The reason why that popped up in my mind is because I said something that was actually like a part of the movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to bring that movie up. But the Hermit on the High Priestess is this journey that you're ready to go on. And instead of arguing with yourself about the journey that you need to go on or that you're ready to go on, now it's time for you to realize that you are truly being cared for by the universe, and the universe is holding you and walking with you as you go through. I jumped over the middle. I love this though. The Wheel of Fortune on the 9 of Wands. This is what happens when you surrender. When you say, oh, none of my business anymore. I get it. Right? So things start shifting, things start moving. The wheel is very Jupiterian and Jupiter is now in Aries. So it's going to be squaring your energy. And that's going to give you a little boost. It might not be the most comfortable boost because it's a square. But really it's going to be a big boost for you to be able to get going on your journey. And from what I can see, you getting going on your journey is going to turn out pretty well. So we have the Ace of Wands for February. There we go. Okay. We have the King of Wands, we have Justice, and we have the Chariot. Okay. You probably have a fire sign somewhere in your life, or if it's not a fire sign, it's just somebody who's very confident, they're a go-getter, can't stop this person. And the Ace of Wands can often be like a sexual energy as well coming through. So if this is a romantic relationship, you're feeling pretty fired up in February. If it is a romantic relationship, I really want you to not get distracted by just it being a romantic relationship. We have the King of Wands, we have Justice, and we have the Chariot for February. Again, with Justice, there's Wheel of Fortune over her head. So there's still a shift that's happening. There's still a change that's happening. And what this shift is doing is bringing into balance what it is that, in order for you to push forward. I'm wondering if some of you are going to be traveling with this fire sign, or maybe this fire sign is at a distance. But in some way, shape, or form, there's some kind of balance that's being created. Let's clarify these. Let's see what the King of Wands is. Oh, okay. So it might have been, okay, this makes a little bit more sense, because I was like, I wasn't really feeling like this was going to go somewhere. So, okay, I feel like you had a really big spark with this person. And I feel like it probably was really amazing in the beginning, but all of that energy that you're opening up in order to create more, I feel like, I almost want to say that this person kind of came in and took up some of that space that was being created from the end of the cycle that you were on. And that wasn't the correct way to fill up that space, or it wasn't the way that your soul, let's put it that way. It wasn't the way that your soul, or it wasn't the way that you wanted to fill up the space. We had the Nine of Swords with the King of Wands. So this person, if this person is bringing anxiety into your life, that's kind of that would be something that I would have to pay attention to, because I don't want anybody that's going to bring anxiety into my life, right? Even friendships or bosses or anything like that. So if there's this Nine of Swords on this King of Wands is making you feel anxious. The Tower with Justice. So for some of you, you might even be like going through some legal things with this person, or, like, I don't even want to say divorce, but sometimes the Justice card represents that. And with the Tower on Justice, that sort of has to be said. Some of you might be getting a divorce from this person. It's like, it's almost as if you wanted to be on this journey with this fire sign, and they are no longer aligned to what it is that you want to do. They're no longer aligned. It's like they've decided to go in a different direction. And that's the thing that's really bringing you down. Remember that the Tower is evolution. It's something, it's course correction, right? And this is exactly what was happening. Like, you were on this journey and you were moving in a certain direction, and along came the Tower and said, That's why it felt like maybe you ended a cycle and there was this person that showed up to fill in that space. And maybe they showed up before to fill in space, a certain space. And it's like, now you're seeing, oh, wow, that person is not the person that I thought they were. Or, people change. We are all always evolving every single day. That's what happens. We are consistently evolving. But the Five of Cups on the Chariot, there's a grieving that's happening. There's this grief that's absolutely happening right now. And you allowing yourself to go through that grief and to push through whatever obstacles are coming along, and allowing yourself, like, this is a foundation that no longer wants to be built upon. This is a foundation. It's time to bring this foundation down, So as much spark as they gave you, there has to be so much more involved. And if they're not going to be involved there, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for things. Okay, so sorry, I heard some talking outside and didn't realize my partner's probably on the phone. High Priestess for March. So intuitively, you're meant to listen to your intuition in March. And sometimes when we're grieving, it's kind of hard to listen to our intuition, because everything is kind of covered up with the grief. So it's just a little bit more difficult to listen to that. But there's this intuitive side of you that is it's like picking up the pieces almost. And I do feel like March is the month where you sort of begin to find a little bit more control of things. Family is very important in March as well, is what I'm hearing. The 10 of Pentacles. Now, this is what happens when we get the Wheel of Fortune and we get the World and then we get the Tower and then we have to rebuild. So your intuitive side is telling you that this is what you deserve. You deserve the 10 of Pentacles. You deserve the happy family. You deserve the house and the car and the kids and the dogs and the white picket fence, like whatever it is that because the 10 of Pentacles is going to look different for everybody, right? It doesn't even have to be all those things. The 10 of Pentacles could be you wanting to live on a secluded island with nobody around. That could be your 10 of Pentacles. So whatever this is where your intuition is your soul, your gut instinct. That's where, this is where your focus is in March. And then we have the 6 of Cups and the Emperor. Now, we can't control everything. The Emperor is kind of an energy that wants to be able to control everything. This might be that fire sign that we're talking about because the Emperor represents Aries. But with the 6 of Cups, it feels very much like your intuition is trying to tell you that the difference between somebody who's controlling and the difference between a soulmate, because the 6 of Cups can very much be a soulmate. It's like wanting, like feeling like you're at home, you want to be with somebody who makes you feel like you're at home. And if you've been with someone who makes you feel like you're at home and they no longer make you feel that way, that's something that you really have to ask yourself, So for some of you, your intuition this in March is actually changing the way that you see that 10 of Pentacles. Like it may have been, at one point, you may have wanted to have the big house and the car and the kids and the white picket fence and all of that stuff. But with the Hanged Man here, your soul is asking you to look at this. Your intuition is asking you to look at this in a different perspective. Oftentimes when we're the Hanged Man, we're on pause. So this is really a healing time for you to rebuild some things and reminding yourself that there's no rush. Like we as humans really just push and rush and force everything to work and everything to, come together the way that we want it to come together. When in reality, sometimes we have to look at things in a different perspective and be like, oh, wow, maybe the way that I was pushing that direction or those things that I thought that I wanted aren't actually going to be good for me. I know. What a concept. Because we think that we know everything, right? And I say we as humans, like humans think that they know everything. They think they know exactly where they need to be and what they need to be doing, when in reality, we're still on this journey and we always are. There may be a Virgo around you that sort of reminds you of your childhood. There may be a Virgo around you, but that sort of feels like a soulmate. I feel like, though, that this is the journey that you're on. I feel like that there might be some reminiscing of the past. And as you reminisce through the past, you grow. Because you can see things from a different perspective at that point. And then we have the Fool on the Emperor. Now, we can't control everything, but we can control that leap of faith. We can control when we do it, how we do it, what it looks like, maybe. Not every tiny little detail, but overall. And so that's what I feel like you're doing. I know that you really, really, really want to get to the next part because you don't want to feel the pain of it, or you don't want to like constantly be reminded of the past. So I know that you want to get to the next part, but the Hanged Man is telling me that it's time for you to pause for a little bit. And I feel like not just in March, I feel like April might be a little bit of a pause too, because we have the Ace of Cups in April, and the Ace of Cups is about self-care. You can take the bath and buy yourself flowers and go out on a solo date, whatever you need to do for that self-care. But when it comes down to self-care, I've found that being honest with myself about everything, that's self-care. And resting when I need to, that's self-care. And remember that you had the surrender to rest and sleep for this year, surrender to low self-esteem. And usually, like I said in the beginning, usually that low self-esteem comes from not having enough rest and not feeling very good about yourself. So Ace of Cups in April, there's this rebuilding that's happening for you. Wow, I said that and the Tower came out. There's a rebuilding that's happening to you. And simultaneously, I feel like there are other things that are kind of crumbling around you. We have the Empress, which she's the creator. She's the very beginning. She's the creator of life. And she's, she's the mother figure. And then we have the Three of Pentacles, and then we have the Tower. And I was talking about the rebuilding because the Three of Pentacles is all about rebuilding. It's about being the teacher and the student and letting other people around you be a part of the rebuilding process as you're loving yourself. Remember, we have to fill up our own cups first, always. But this Tower coming down makes me feel like, again, as you're rebuilding and as you're creating, there are other things that are crumbling. And that's just, helping you to see the path a little bit more clearly. Imagine if you were on this path and all of a sudden there's this tall building in your way and you would have to really detour an hour and a half around it just to continue on the path to the destination that you're on. That building is coming down. As you are progressing forward and as you're growing, things are still being shifted around you, and evolution is still happening in pretty big ways. So we have, excuse me, with the Empress, Three of Pentacles. Okay, and the Queen of Pentacles. All right, so here we are. This makes me feel like, excuse me. This makes me feel like that you keep on trying to rebuild on the same ground that was built before instead of trying to find something new. The Wheel of Fortune on the Empress, again, you guys are just going through massive shifts for the first 6 months of the year. And, just allowing yourself to accept some things are just going to be like in a constant state of flow and a constant shift is going to help you get through this. Acceptance is huge when you're on this journey, huge. The Death card on the Three of Pentacles, again, there's that evolution. Again, you could be dealing with a Scorpio energy. That Scorpio wants to rebuild with you. And if it's the fire sign, that's also the Scorpio energy, same person, right? So it's going to be different for everybody probably, but it's, there's this energy that wants to build, and then your soul is like, no, like this is not what we're building. This is not what we're building. And so not fighting with yourself, like at the, let's go all the way. Sorry, that was really loud. That's my medicine. After that first, in January, the Five of Swords, like this is where you really have to learn not to fight with yourself. There's your ego that wants to see things in one way, and then there's your soul that wants to see things in another way. And your intuition is the one that's going to be the thing that you want to listen to. But if we get too caught up in what it is that our ego wants, we're not going to listen to our intuition. We'll be obnoxious about it and argue and fight with ourselves, right? So it's almost as if you're having to kind of be gutted on the inside. Like, I know that sounds really terrible, and it's not going to be like, I don't think that it's going to be that difficult if you don't argue with yourself through the process, or you don't try and stop the evolution of things through the process. But again, like I said, you are the hardest on yourself. So the more you're going to beat yourself up through this, when you're supposed to be giving yourself love, the harder it's going to be, right? So allowing the shift to happen for some of you, I feel like you're becoming a mother. For some of you, I do feel like you're becoming a mother, and that's kind of a scary proposition, which I understand. I have 3 boys, and becoming a mom was probably the scariest thing that I've ever done, but that does it, you know, that's what I keep hearing. So I had to say it. Here we go. Now we have April, the magician in April. So the magician is, he can create everything around him, right? He has all the tools to be able to create everything around him. He can also be quite manipulative. Let's think of how Mercury is. You know, Mercury can be a manipulative little person. Hermes. So you're manifesting. Are you manifesting what you want for your ego, or are you manifesting what you want for your soul? Because I do feel like you're still trying, you know, you want to have this particular person in your life. And I get it. I totally get it. I've been there. I was that person that I wanted to manifest a particular person into my life. And then when I realized that that person wasn't even good for me, like they weren't going to help me grow, I was coddling them. Like it was such a disaster when I would try and manifest a particular person into my life, instead of just letting the energy bring the person into my life that it needs to bring, right? So we have the 9 of Cups, which is also the wish card. So these two go together really, really well, but let's keep going. The 9 of Cups, we have the King of Wands again, and then we have Judgment. I really want to clarify these before I go any further, because I feel like there is something that you're manifesting and the universe is really trying to, it's like a big rebuttal, like, no, this is not the thing that you want to keep going for. So let's just see what happens. Okay. Really be discerning about, oh, and I just realized April is the month that Mercury goes retrograde for the 2nd time in the year. So 4 of Cups. So that might be this person coming back. You might be trying to like manifest new things into your life, or wishing new things into your life. And then I feel like you hear from this person. I don't know that if you're going to have to decide for yourself whether it's a good situation or not. I don't feel like it is. I feel like it continues to weigh you down. I feel like you feel some kind of obligation to this person in some way. I don't know. Let's talk about these cards. 4 of Cups with the 9 of Cups. The 4 of Cups is, you know, I love the 4 of Cups in this deck because it doesn't really depict ignoring what the universe is bringing to you. But what it does show is this guy meditating. And I feel like this is that discernment that you need to have. Like really get your root into Mother Earth. Like sit your butt down on the earth and get that root connected to Mother Earth. And be really discerning about manifesting and what it is that you want to have in your future. I know that manifesting has kind of become a dirty word in the spiritual world because of all this new age spirituality that's happening. But it truly is something that we can all do, is manifest things into our life. As long as we don't pretend to, as long as we're not entitled to whatever it is that we're trying to manifest, as long as we don't like try and force things to, like forcing things to happen is not manifesting. Pushing yourself and trying to create things into your life that aren't supposed to be in your life, that's not manifesting, that's forcing, right? Manifesting is doing everything that you need to do for yourself and then taking a step back and being like, all right, universe, you know what I want and I need. And I guarantee you the person, the job, the situation, the house, like the 10 of Pentacles, things that you want to have in your life, they are going to flow easier to you if you surrender to the universe. Surrender to letting the universe take care of you. Let the universe take care of the details. This person, Page of Wands with the King of Wands, I do feel like somebody messages you or somebody wants to talk to you. So be very discerning before you let them in. I do feel like you hear from someone in April, the fire sign particularly, or the Scorpio. 9 of Wands on Judgment, but this is that surrender point. Like if the person messages you and it makes you feel a certain way where you're just like, oh my God, I don't know how to feel about this. Don't do anything. Don't message them back. Don't hit the like button. I don't know, wherever they're messaging you. Surrender it to the universe. Let it happen. And especially if they message you or text you or whatever during Mercury retrograde, let Mercury retrograde finish. Even let the post shadow period go by. Message them back in 3 weeks and see what happens. And if they don't, or not at all, and see what happens. And we have the Death card in June. With the Death card comes evolution. We're always transitioning. We're always moving forward. We're always changing, even if it doesn't feel like it. Oh, wow. Even if it really doesn't feel like it. There's this unearthing, unfolding that's happening with you in the first 6 months of the year. And I feel like you're ready for things to look different. You don't want things to look the same as they did in 2022 or 2021 or 2020. And if your life is continuing to look the same over and over and over again, it's going to become even more difficult for you to get through these things. So we have the Chariot because the universe doesn't want you to sit still. The universe is going to keep moving you until you move yourself. And when the universe moves you, that's really uncomfortable. So we have the Chariot. We have the Hanged Man. We have the Ace of Cups. Now here we are. This is kind of contradictory, to be honest. I do feel like you're still moving. Like this is what I meant when I said that we're always evolving and we're always changing and everything is always in motion, even when it doesn't feel like it. That's what this feels like. It feels like you're sort of in a paused momentum because you need to look at things in a different kind of way, but the energy is still moving you forward. The energy is still taking you on your journey. And that's what evolution looks like, And then we have the Ace of Cups again, which is, I love that card. Look how pretty that card is. Overflowing. Fill your cup to the overflowing point. Let it spill out over the edges so that when you are, when other people are asking what direction or like asking anything from you or, what am I supposed to do? What am I doing here? You can easily say like, I don't have the capacity, or you can help them. It's totally up to you. The Star with the Chariot. So you could be dealing with an Aquarius energy, but this feels more like you're moving toward your purpose. You could actually be traveling too. There could be some travel that's happening in June as well. And I think that that's going a lot with your evolution that's going on here, but there's an ending to something. There's a transition to something going on in June. And so with the Star on the Chariot, you're well on your way. The Star reminds me of the North Node. And so look to wherever your North Node is in your birth chart and read up on it and become very familiar with it, because that's what your soul wants you to do in this lifetime. We have the 7 of Cups On the Hanged Man, the confusion can paralyze you. As a Virgo, anytime I get overwhelmed or I have too much going on or there's too much information, especially since I got sick, because my brain is like already on overload from so many things. It's like I try and not be on too much of an overload. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, then it's time to take a step back and allow yourself to rest. The universe is bringing you gifts on whether, regardless of whether the energy looks like it's moving or whether it feels kind of stagnant right now. The Ace of Pentacles on the Ace of Cups, these are both gifts from the universe. And, you know, we can't ask for the gifts from the universe before it's our time, but it's still your season right now. So ask the gifts from the universe right now and see how they show up for you, possibly even in June. But the more your success this year is directly related to how you feel about yourself. This is that low self-esteem one. Surrender to low self-esteem. You deserve success, love, and abundance. This is exactly what that's saying. This Ace of Pentacles and Ace of Cups, same thing, right? So you deserve all of this. So surrendering to what it is that you already deserve will ensure your success. You see? All right, my loves. If you would like to get a solar return or a 6-month prediction reading, a personal one for yourself, all of that is on my website, which is in the description box. And I have like even just 30-minute tarot readings for $60, which is pretty low. That's going to be until the end of January, and then they'll go back to regular price again. I've actually had them at $60 for a couple of months now, and some of you have taken advantage of that, but not a lot. So if you want to get a 30-minute live or even recorded reading with me, that's available to you. I love you guys. I really hope that you have a wonderful 2023. Thanks for your support and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.